So this takes me back to Zio. So I've talked a lot about kind of how Zio works and some of these features of PSG and what's different. So I want to very clearly state why what we're doing is not PSG. It does not qualify as a full polysomnography. There are similarities. We're measuring brain waves. We're defining it as though we were recording PSG. By those standards that have been on for a while. And we're actually able to stage sleep pretty reliably. Get REM, light, deep, that sort of thing. But there are a whole lot of differences. We lump some of the stages together. We don't look for really brief awakenings like you look for in PSG. We don't measure a lot of the other whole body signals that I mentioned before. We don't take up breathing. We don't look at blood pressure. We don't look at oxygen saturation. And that all leads to the technology. It's not our disclaimer of we're not a medical device. It's not just because we don't want to be a medical device. Because you can't do these things without some of these other measures. And actually one of the advantages over PSG is that it's a lot easier. There's no cleaning, glues, gels, wires, any of that. So we've tried to take the bulk of the advantage of doing a PSG and put it in something that anybody can use. So I want to talk a little bit about the accuracy of Zio. We've done this, and we've kind of run this validation in 3 separate studies and come up with very consistent results. This is all internally to the organization or through studies that we've sponsored. I am very much looking forward to the day when somebody independent from us takes up the mantle and runs this validation stuff and publishes it, because I am confident that they will come up with the same result. And when we look at that 75% as good as PSG, you have to remember, PSG is only 85% as good as itself. So we're 90%. I mean, we're B plus A range in terms of what you can do in an ambulatory consumer product environment. We validated the technology against PSG, but also against actigraphy. So this is for sleep stages, the 75%. If you just want to know if somebody's asleep or awake over the course of the night, we are 90% plus accurate. With very good sensitivity, specificity, and positive values. And we've actually been working on a manuscript that we want to submit for peer review. So hopefully we'll get the real deal behind the validation we've done. All that said, Zio isn't perfect. Some of the explanations I've laid out up front of wake is happening a lot in the back of your brain. We're going to have some difficulties around wake, especially if you're in REM sleep or a very light sleep, where the rest of your brain looks very much like you're awake. Honestly, sometimes I look at the raw data and I can't tell if somebody is in light sleep and REM sleep. So I don't know that the outcome is actually much better than me being a trained expert at looking at the differences between these stages, but it's still going to have troubles. And I mean, clearly there's room to improve. Where 75% is good, the standard is 85. We could definitely bump it up. It's a matter of how much work and expertise we can muster and put into it. All that said, it is a pretty good technology. It's fairly accurate. There's definitely a whole range. Some of the data we've looked at is for some people it works well, fantastically well. The first night I slept in a sleep lab with PSG and Zio, I got the report back that it was 99% in agreement with the unit. That is, I'm kind of baffled by that. I don't think that should have happened. But the low end is, it happens as well. I mean, you can get reports back where it was, 25, 30%. But in terms of the bell curve, that's both ends, both tails. For the most people, most of the time, it's around that 75%. It's very, very well established